What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Monday Night Raw edition of Work or Shoot for the week of April 23rd, 2018. If a segment worked, we give it a work. If it didn't, we shoot it down. I'm Travis from It's a Work. Let's work or shoot. This week, Monday Night Raw started out with a 10-bell salute and a video package tribute to Bruno Sammartino. Bruno Sammartino is a legend in this industry, and he will be sorely missed by wrestling fans everywhere. We at It's a Work would like to send our condolences to the Sammartino family and friends. On a less somber note, we started out with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman making their way to the ring. Paul Heyman would go on about how Brock Lesnar destroyed Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and how he's going to do the same thing again at the Greatest Royal Rumble on Friday. Eventually, after about 10 minutes of nothingness and the same thing we've heard 1,000 times, Roman Reigns decided he was going to make his way down to the ring. But he walked probably about as slow as The Undertaker in a WrestleMania entrance. When he finally gets there, says one sentence, music hits, he's out of there. Done deal. Whole segment took 20 minutes. We've seen it 100 times before. This one gets a shoot. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias, who was interrupted right away by Bobby Roode. This didn't really make sense to me. Bobby Roode and Elias don't have any kind of heat with each other. There's no story there, but they had a match anyway. Michael Cole made some kind of statement on commentary about how this is interesting because both these men will be in the Greatest Royal Rumble match on Friday. Not really that interesting. There's 50 guys in the match. It's not a very elite club. They're pretty much throwing everybody extra they have into this match. I don't understand how that makes anything about it interesting. There was no story going in. We left with no story going out. Another shoot from me. Now it's time for a Matt Hardy segment, which usually I love, but this one didn't really make any sense to me. Matt had mentioned the Greatest Royal Rumble and their match with The Bar. Bray Wyatt came in and said some stuff about light and dark. They ended up having a match with The Ascension afterwards, which I wouldn't have guessed. The match was okay. The Ascension did what they did on Smackdown and jobbed out to a bigger team. Matt and Bray left with the win, makes them look good for the Greatest Royal Rumble. I guess I'll give this one a work. It could have gone either way, but we're kind of shy on the works right now, so I'm just going to give this one for free. Now finally, we have the debut of the Sammy and Kevin show. This was one of my favorite segments of the night. Kevin and Sammy came out looking obnoxious. They had a whole set like any good talk show does. They had photos of them beating up Shane. They had a desk. They had everything you could ask for on a talk show. The first guest for the Sammy and Kevin show would end up being general manager Kurt Angle. As soon as Kurt gets out there, Kevin Owens offers him a seat and pulls out a lawn chair from underneath their desk. Sami Zayn had the reading glasses back for a gag this week. He then went on to say something about Kurt's kids and made a joke about Jason Jordan. It was all good stuff. It actually even led into a match that Kurt would make between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, taking on Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley later in the night. This one, another work. Coming back from commercial break, we had Titus Worldwide in the ring, who would be facing off with Shawn Michaels and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. My bad. This match was basically what we would expect it to be, just like Matt and Bray versus The Ascension earlier. It was kind of another squash match where Apollo and Titus O'Neil would essentially job out to the bigger, newer, better team. Dolph and Drew would easily take the victory in this match, and afterwards they had a little in-ring interview with Charlie. Charlie would ask Dolph why he had brought Drew McIntyre, and Dolph pretty much said because he's dangerous. No one's had his back before, and now he could get someone to have his back who's a fresh face. I don't really know what Dolph is talking about because pretty much everyone's had his back in the past. Vicky Guerrero, Spirit Squad, Big E, AJ Lee, most of the WWE universe until he started doing weird record scratch stuff and turned on us, so screw him. But besides the point, Drew would also go on to say that he is dangerous, and he actually cut a really good promo. It was good to see Drew on the mic, made a lot of good points. I'm excited to see where these two go as a team. Gonna be good stuff. Another work from this guy. Now moving on to a backstage segment with Chad Gable and Kurt Angle. Gable basically introduces himself to Kurt, thanks him for the opportunity to be on Raw, and he asks how Jason Jordan's doing, his former tag team partner. Kurt tells him that he's doing well, but he didn't bring him here to tag team with Jason Jordan, which means no American Alpha reunion. No American Alpha reunion until a couple of weeks go by and they have nothing for either of them, and then we'll see him again in the tag team. Pretty much right afterwards, Jinder Mahal interrupts and looks at Chad Gable like he's never seen him before, asks who he is, and then he says, "Oh, you're Nicholas. You won the tag team championships with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania," making gags there. And then he went south and made a mini-me joke after he just died, not even a week ago. Jinder makes a mini-me joke. A little bit of a dick move. This leads into a match between the two, and the match was actually pretty good. I sort of enjoyed it. It was one of the better works I had seen from Jinder recently, and it made Chad Gable look decent. Gable ends up picking out the win after he does a little thing off the turnbuckle from the Colossus and gets a pin. Even though Jinder had his shoulder up, it seemed like it was a victory. Nobody questioned it. Jinder definitely had his shoulder up though. Regardless, segment gets a work. Moving on, we have a match that was set up earlier on the Sami and Kevin show. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. I really do love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as a tag team, but this match didn't really work at all. I don't understand what they were trying to do except for punish the two, which we've seen on Smackdown for months and months and months, and it's kind of getting old bringing it over to Raw now. On the other side of the fence, I love what they're doing with Braun. Braun looks dominant, he completely destroyed both of them, but then there's Bobby Lashley, and I don't know what they're doing with him at all. The guy's come back and he's just been thrown into random matches as a place filler. Doesn't make any sense to me. I thought he was going to be a dominant force on the Raw roster. I guess not. He's just kind of there to make everybody else look okay. Strowman and Lashley ended up picking up the win in the end, but I still have to shoot this one down. There's no direction for it. Braun's kind of still left in limbo, and I have no idea what's going on with Bobby Lashley. Moving on in the night, we have a segment with No Way Jose and the leftover Rosebuds. This was probably my least favorite part of NXT every week, and now it's definitely my least favorite part of Monday Night Raw. I fucking hate No Way Jose. He shows up, he dances, and that's pretty much it. Now I thought Baron Corbin was going to come out and save the day, but all he really did was say that the Rosebuds were going to beat him up. He thought it was a trap with the conga line, and that he was there for real competition on Raw, not No Way Jose. So he left. No Way Jose would just kind of say something about, whatever, we're still going to party. So his music plays and they all walk out. Took a couple of minutes. After the last member of the conga line makes their way to the backstage area, Baron Corbin comes out and attacks No Way Jose. Even though I still got to see No Way Jose end up on the floor in the end, the segment was just stupid. It took far too long and it wasn't necessary. They could have waited to actually have a match with Corbin sometime down the line. This one, shot down. Following that No Way Jose monstrosity, we have a moment of bliss. Alexa made this segment really great. It was good heel work, and it's something that we don't normally see from a heel, is this kind of segment. I haven't seen something like this from a heel especially, probably since the Randy News updates, the Randy News Network, whatever that stuff was, when he was brand new, had the shoulder injury, and he'd give us all those fun updates, that kind of thing. Made me hate him, but it was also good stuff to watch, and Alexa did the exact same thing here. It makes you love to hate her, but it's good TV, and it makes you want to see what else she's going to do. This one gets a work. If I can rewind for a second and go back to earlier in the night, we had two segments. The first one started out with Seth Rollins backstage in the locker room, and the camera would pan over to reveal Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. The two of them would pretty much go on to say how The Miz is gone and how they can use their services to help other superstars, like Seth Rollins. The two of them even had Monday Night Rollins shirts on, and they said that the three of them could be the new Shield. They put their fists in, but Rollins had to decline, so they moved on. In the second segment, we see Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, and they start saying something about how the club had moved to Smackdown. Pan out, and we see Finn Balor. They say that they could be the new club, and that they could be the guys that Balor needs as backup. Even wearing Finn Balor t-shirts, and going in for the Too Sweet. Balor would reject. Apparently the Balor Club's for everyone, except for Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. So this led to another tag team match tonight, which was Seth Rollins and Finn Balor taking on the Miztourage. Yes, the fucking Miztourage. They're still calling them the Miztourage. I don't know why. The Miz isn't on Raw, but they are still calling them the Miztourage. They even use the Miz's theme music. I don't know why they're doing it. It just seems stupid. Just like the tag matches we had seen earlier in the night, this was another squash match. I thought that the backstage segments were funny, and that's what's saving this segment, because they get a work for that. But the match itself, I'm gonna shoot down. Finally, we have our main event, which is a 10-women tag team match. Probably because they can't do this in Saudi Arabia, so they're going to give the women some time to main event here in the States before they go over there on Friday. In my opinion, a 10-person tag team match of any kind is too much. There's not normally enough time for everyone to get their spots in, and there's definitely not enough time to really tell a good story. But with that said, we had Sasha Banks, Bayley, Nia Jax, Ember Moon, Natalya. I keep fucking forgetting Natalya. She's so forgettable. Taking on the team of the Riot Squad, Alexa Bliss, and Mickie James. So seriously, this was basically a 10-person tag team match. There was nothing notable about this match except for the story they tried to build with an injury to Natalya's leg. With the injury to Natalya's leg, she'd roll out to the outside and spent the majority of the last portions of the match there. On the other side of the ring, we had Nia Jax basically falling off the ring apron onto every other competitor in the match, except for Mickie James. She avoided it somehow. But being the veteran, she went back over and started attacking Natalya. Figure if nothing else, she can beat up Natalya, get her back in the ring while everyone else is down, and pick up the win for her team. Until Ronda Rousey came out, because we all know Ronda Rousey and Natalya are good friends. While Ronda Rousey's on the outside checking on Natalya, Mickie James gave her a baseball slide, which looked pretty vicious. But then Ronda would get back up and she'd get into the ring after Mickie. Ronda gives Mickie James a judo throw, puts her right into the armbar, and she tapped out, which they then played Ronda Rousey's music and rang the bell, even though she wasn't in the match. Pretty sure the heels got a win here because of a disqualification, but it still looked like Ronda Rousey somehow won the match for everybody. We closed the show with Ronda helping Natalya to the back. Now down the line, I do think this is going to lead to a feud between the two when Natalya turns heel, but until then, this is where we're at. As a whole though, I'm going to shoot down the main event segment. I understand what they were trying to do here and the WWE meant well with it, but nothing connected. It furthered one story and I'm not even sure if it furthered that story. All we know is that Natalya and Ronda are still friends. No new enemies were made, they didn't really connect on old enemies. This is just where we are. And that's it for this week's Monday Night Raw Work or Shoot. If what we said about Raw worked for you, let us know in the comments below. If you'd rather shoot me, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you get notified when we upload a new video. You can follow us on Twitter at IAW Wrestling, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/itsAwork. I'm Travis from It's a Work, and I'll see you next time.